Hey Crossgates, time for our midweek update, and I'm standing outside the entrance to the CAC, and I just wanted to be out here because of the sound of the children. I'd say playing. Right now they're having a disagreement over the rules of whatever game they're playing, and kind of reminds me of the Peanuts comic strip, how Charles Schultz saw both the beauty in children's relationships and also the incredible brutality of the way that the kids treat one another, but how it reflects on adult as well. And then behind me inside the CAC, we actually have a basketball camp going on, and so there is no quiet place at the church this morning, and I love that. That's the way it's supposed to be. But things are plugging along, Crossgates. Even as we need to be very mindful of what do we need to do and how do we need to act as this new Delta variant of COVID is spreading in the community. Just know that at this point, we're just going to follow CDC guidelines. And that is your responsibility now. Back when there was no vaccine, collective responsibility was what we needed to do. But now that there is a vaccine free and fully available to anyone, y'all talk to your doctor, consider seriously how this is a way both to take care of yourself, but take care of the children around you and the elderly around you, and how this is really an opportunity for doing something that's right. But make sure, again, you talk to your doctor to make sure it's right for you and safe for you. Other than that, Crossgates, we're plugging along. We're on worship on Sundays. We're moving through the book of Ephesians, and we're walking with Paul as he just bounces erratically between praising God and going and doing, and the impact that has on us and what it means to be a follower of Jesus. And I was looking forward at the scriptures for the coming week, and we're not going to read the gospel, but I wanted to read it to y'all midweek. We're not going to use it this Sunday. And what I find interesting is watching the children, and at one time, just how afraid we were. Afraid about a year ago. What does all this mean? Where are we going? And how, look where we are now. And it's the difference of how Jesus' disciples responded to fear and how Jesus responded to fear. And so the gospel reading is long. It's John 6, 1 through 21. But I want to jump down to verse 15. And what had happened right before this is Jesus feeding the 5,000, and how there was a fear of the crowd, and the fear of the crowd being hungry and not knowing what to do, and how God provided. But Jesus, after doing this, the crowd was so amazed that they became almost revolutionary, that they wanted to come and take him by force. That's what John says here in verse 15. He says, when Jesus realized that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, he withdrew again to the mountain by himself. So Jesus is leaving a circumstance that could become brutal, could become fearful, could become one about power and authority. And then it says, John continues, when the evening came, his disciples went down to the sea, got into a boat, and started across the sea to Capernaum. It was now dark, and Jesus had not yet come to them. The sea became rough because a strong wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 3 to 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea, and coming near the boat, they were terrified. But he said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid." And then they wanted to take him into the boat, and immediately the boat reached the land toward which they were going. Notice something here about Jesus and fear. When Jesus was, I don't want to say afraid, but when Jesus was aware that an environment was being created that could be brutal, he quietly got up and walked away, moved off into the mountains to get away from the people's desires for him. So his disciples go off on their own to the other side of the sea, and they get into trouble, and they panic and freak out. And so Jesus comes to them in their fear and calms them and is present with them in their fear. And so I'm not going to psychoanalyze this gospel passage, but I would like to at least say how that is continually true for us. That there are times when the environment is one about power and authority, and people want to turn the gospel into something that it's not. They want to turn Jesus into someone who he is not. So Jesus leaves. He doesn't want to be a part of that. But then when we, his followers, find ourselves in times of crisis or aloneness, here comes Jesus, coming to us, even if it means walking on the water, to get us safely to the other side. So Crossgates, remember where we once were, remember where we are now, and think forward to where we will be. Begin to think about your role and your place and how you're going to be an agent of transformation and of calmness and engagement for the sake of the gospel. Crossgates, I see Christ in you. Crossgates, I see a little fear in you. Crossgates, don't be afraid. Jesus will come, even in the storm. I'll see you Sunday.